But speaking of storylines, like, what's going on? Was there some change in NXT? No, was there some change in NXT creative recently? Because if you tell me, like, I'm thinking about the TV show I was watching a month ago, and I'm not saying that tonight was bad. I was actually reasonably entertained by tonight's NXT, but I feel like there's a lot of dangling threads.
I was not entertained. And the reason being that the show itself was great, but to your point, it feels like there is a holding pattern, right? We had Trick Williams not in a matchup, we had Obafemi not in a matchup, we had Roxanne Perez not doing anything of merit but a promo. It definitely feels like a holding pattern. So I get it. Backlash always tends to be the weaker pay-per-view of the year. I'm giving everyone a pass until King of the Ring. But these titles need opponents. We need more things. We need to know what the heck's going on with Georgina, all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm hoping Battleground is a bit of a soft reboot, not a hard reboot, soft reboot. Do you think we don't get to talk NXT enough?
Hell no.
I'm so glad we're doing this tonight.
Yeah.
But do you think, given the little bit of a lull in the holding pattern we're in right now, does it make you really appreciate more that we might be, and we're only like maybe a month out of this.
Okay.
But we might be moving past what was just another golden era for NXT.
Ooh, it's hard to call it a golden era because even though it was great, it didn't get the kind of respect. I really felt like post 2.0 was me shouting, "No, guys, Carmelo is great." So like I personally like to put that era on top, but I do think ebbs and flows are part of this. We talk about the 2020 and 2021 years when the pandemic started and we had like the Way and those groups and that was kind of hot. But then 22 was kind of slow right before the launch. So I think it's part of the ebb and flow of NXT wholesale. My problem is that people who are going to give NXT a chance now with it being on a bigger platform, with WWE being on fire right now, are going to be cheated because all the good things have happened over the last year and a half.
And I would say Carmelo and Trick would be that endpoint. I think Bayley and Sasha was an endpoint. There was a weird period. It picked back up when Shinsuke came in a few months later. And then Finn left, and then it became its own thing. Again, it's NXT is always like SNL in that people are coming and going. You're going to have your favorites, and you're always going to compare what's currently going on to what was your favorite. I'm just saying right now, it feels like in the last 2 months or so, it's just kind of like declined a little bit with storytelling. Some of these threads getting dropped. Some of these payoffs not happening. And I do think that you could look at Trick and Mello and be like, okay, that was the end of an era. And now after these call-ups, like now we've got to figure out what's next. So in many ways, like Battleground is going to be NXT's Backlash.
Yeah, you're going to have to. I think Trick and Carmelo was 2 full years of storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with NXT now. It isn't the lack of talent. It isn't the matches. And it isn't even the characters. It's now we are in stories or payoffs are being stretched. Again, I go back to Obafemi, right? He's a monster. He's the ruler. He comes out every third week to cut a promo, and then he's on commentary. And I think by now he would have had a side quest to get him warmed up for his match at Battleground, if Battleground's a big deal. And I think that's what NXT 2.0 would have done, say, okay, to sell you on the fact on, whoever that may be. Here's what I like. Trick Williams is your champ, and he has a good dance partner in Ora Mensa. I love the Last Legend story that's brewing, and I like the fact that we got Javon involved because, again, maybe not be a main event talent now, but at least he can say he can hang with the big boys. What I don't like is his positioning in the show and the fact that Trick Williams is another person who's a champion or in that champion's conversation who's not having a match. Trick Williams got off this crazy run with Carmelo Hayes. You're telling me it's a new chapter, it's a new era, but he's also not fighting like Obafemi. He's not fighting like Roxanne Perez. Someone has to be a workhorse in that brand, and it should have been Trick.
It's kind of weird that they looked at the calendar and they're like, we've got all these ideas, but we got to wait till we debut on the CW.
Maybe.
Which is wild. That's not happening like in July.
Right.
I don't know. Just a thought.
I'm hoping the Battleground is a reset. I'm hoping that we go full bore. I know there's kind of like this propensity to wait to the big shows, like whatever War Games or deadline is or whatever, but you have to give us something in the summer months to keep the kids interested, just to make sure everything is going. because this holding pattern stuff, while good, is going to hurt talent in the long run.